a student. Well, he's not. He. I was a mentor of him last year, and he's now in high school.
We're live, Paulina.
I. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. We have with us Paulina back again to talk about an interesting topic, and she is going to discuss about creating positive emotional context to enhance teaching and learning. It's such an interesting topic, and Paulina is quite interested to talk about it. She's here to share her experiences and also to share some tips. And feel free to share your experiences, your tips in the chat box or the comment box. We would be happy to learn from everyone, whoever is joining us. So here we go. Over to you, Paulina.
Well, hello. Good morning from this side. Well, good evening. Just really excited to be here again. I I told Miss A that I really wanted to share with you guys and like an interaction for us because I feel that me as a teacher, I've always tried since the beginning of what I started to be a teacher to have this connection with the students because I feel it's really important. They need a place where they feel safe, and I'm not saying they don't feel safe at home, but it's a different type of safe. When you go to school, when you're a kid, some of them are like, oh, I have to go to school and it's boring and it's something that I have to do. That if there is a place where they go that is really exciting and is really appealing and they have fun while they learn, they're gonna feel like they want to learn because it's something that is going to help them. If we gave them like the purpose of what we're doing, it's going to make more sense for them. And sometimes we feel that because of their kids or because of their age, they don't really understand what's going on, but they do. And if you make them part of them, it's amazing for your class. So that's why I was really excited to share this with you guys as my perspective it is. I'm a teacher. Like I said, I've been a teacher for almost 15 years, 16 maybe, around that. I won't say that because that will say my age and we don't want to get into that. So, but yeah, I love that. My grandma was a teacher. My mom was a teacher. Now I am. My sister is also a teacher. So it's been in the family for a while. It's kind of sort of our legacy. And I've been a PYP homeroom facilitator for 4 years and a half now. And this year I'm in fourth grade, and I've watched the reflections and the work of the students, the actions in first grade, in kinder one, in third grade, and in fourth grade, and it's really interesting to see them grow also in that department. The way they construct their ideas, the way they share their beliefs so strongly, it's really powerful. And it's also this is why I said that it's really important that you create this connection with them, because if you don't have that, they won't feel confident enough to share this with you, because at the beginning, when they, well, it's not that they're learning they're learning to know you, and they're like, is this the right answer, or am I allowed to talk about the negative side as well? And you want them to have that agency, and for that to happen, they need to trust the people they're talking to, and not only the teacher, the class himself. So you as a guide have the responsibility, because it's a huge responsibility, to create a safe environment while they feel safe enough to share what they really think. Because when you open and you say something, you are in risk of being judged, of being criticized. And that's what we, as teachers, as guides, we are encourage them not to, because we're, and I know that in the real world it's going to be all sides, but if you build their trust, if you make them confident enough, all the bad things that come in the future, they're going to know how to deal with that. So that's why I think it's really important. And I was telling Miss A that I wanted to be a lot that I wanted to have a lot of interaction with you guys. I don't know. I would love to hear your point of view. What are your thoughts about this? How do you create this interaction, safe like connection with your students? So feel free to share with us. We would love to read your point of views because mines are always super passionate about it, and I feel like I talk too much, but I would love so we will also to know about yours. And if you have anything to share with us, we're here, and I will continue. So the way that I do it, I think for each teacher is different. I went to a workshop like 2 years ago. No, maybe also almost 3 years ago. Before the pandemic started, my school sent me to a workshop in Mexico, and it was about creating the environment for the students for them to learn. But it was not only I mean, the main focus was the classroom, but it was also talking about, like I said, the connection. So that stuck with me so much because I've been dealing with that for my internal career as a teacher. And it was something as basic as when you put the title, and this blew my mind. When you put the title in the at the door at your classroom, and you're always like Miss Paulina's class, Miss blah blah blah, and that is like, okay, this is my territory. But just to change that to fourth grade class or our class, just the title makes them this gives them the sense of belonging because it's theirs, it's ours. So I have been so aware of that now that every time that I'm like, for example, I said, okay, we're going to plan our next unit of inquiry, or we're going to check our, I don't know, our work for the week, our inquiry. I make them part of it because they are. We are building this together. I'm just the guide, the teacher, but it's a process that we are doing together. So the reason that I'm saying this is this, it was so basic. It was just a title that put in Miss Paulina's class, but it makes such a difference for them. Just the thought of they immediately put themselves, okay, this is mine too. I need to be responsible for it too. I need to be creative too. They it's mine too. So the agency starts from there. Then when you're building your assessments, when you're building your inquirers, when they want to do an inquire by themselves, you just don't close the doors for them. Don't say, okay, we can do it tomorrow, or yeah, we can do it next, or we're not talking about that. Because sometimes we are so, and I will say it openly, we're so stressed with what the admin department is asking, the learning outcomes, and I'm not saying it's not important, but we can make room, even if it's just a little bit space for that. Or if we can definitely make that, we can talk to them openly about that. Like, guys, this is really important and this is really amazing for you to share, but we also have these outcomes that we need to share. So how can we mix them? Or how can we together work to make what you want and what we need also? So make them part of the process. And I'm not saying to share everything with them, but if they understand why are you saying no at that moment, or maybe you're saying later, they will be okay with it and they won't feel like you're shutting a door. So it's important, and that's a really good way to create, like I said, that bond between you, that connection. For example, the other day I said to my students, okay, we're gonna work and we're going to do a spelling bee contest because there was something that we were needing in that moment, and blah blah blah. And they were like, oh my god, that's really boring and I don't want to do it. So they start complaining, and I was like, okay, if you know what, guys, if you don't want to, but tell me why you don't want to. And so they started to say their reasons. So when they finish, I said, okay, I will say you now my reasons or the purpose for this to do, and start talking to them and blah blah blah. So at the end, as a group, we decided to work in this activity because it was something good for them, and they related to, okay, if I work on my addiction better, maybe if I go to the States, I will be able to order any toy that I want or any food. So they were putting their perspective and their needs, which are also important, because sometimes I've noticed that about us, that we think that their problems or their situations are we tend to minimize their struggles because they're kids, and we shouldn't, because we're adults and we're different and we are in different positions. But that also, if you focus or if you try to help them or if you try to understand what they're going through, that will make them also open to you as well. So I feel I went, like I said, I'm talking a lot. I don't know if someone else would like to share maybe something they went through.
Great insights, Paulina. And we would love to hear from you. What do you do to build connections in your classroom? That student teacher connection, the important, vital factor that actually leads to a successful learning. I was reading an article from Karen Young, and wonderful insights were shared. And she said that the only way to correct students, if we really want them to, correct them, we need to build connections. So the title of the article was, correction through connection, the only way. So it was wonderful. She also shared that students sense if something is wrong, they can perceive it as a threat. It can be as simple as yelling at them, raising your voice, and those those what should I say, those kind of clue which they get from the environment are quite instinctive in nature. They're not rational. So it doesn't mean that actually there is a threat, but they're perceiving it as a threat. And as soon as they go into that flight and fight mode, learning stops. So
Agree.
it's about making those wonderful connections. As you said, replacing Miss Paulina's class by fifth graders or the fifth graders world. I still remember when I was a grade five teacher, the name of the classroom was fifth graders world. And this was, named by them. And they even, reused a paper and created a world map as if their class is their world. So that was wonderful. And I did not, try to make it more perfect. It was all students' work. It was imperfect, but beautiful. I still remember that door, and there were people who were telling me that your door is not very well decorated, but it was done by students, and that was the way that they wanted it to be. So I could find, beauty in that imperfection. So, teachers, educators, we would love to hear your stories. That how do you develop belongingness? How do you develop, those positive, powerful connections which help you to become better teachers and which helps, foster the teaching and learning in your classrooms.
Yeah,
And
it's what you said
yeah,
is, it feels like it's something so basic or so small, but for them it's so huge. I agree 100%. Good evening,
you know,
everyone.
we spend a lot of time on report writing. We spend a lot of time on making those perfect lesson plans, and this seems so little that okay, it doesn't make any difference, but that is the actual spice of that dish which we are cooking. And if it is missing, nothing is gonna be happening. So, educators, we would love to hear from you. That what do you do to make your teaching and learning as wonderful as Paulina's class? The way she's sharing
Hi.
with you, what are those small things that she, do to keep the class going in the right direction and achieving the learning outcome which we all are aspiring for? I think they're taking time. Paulina, you can continue. Meanwhile, I'll keep on, reading the answers.
Perfect.
And you can
Okay.
also ask questions in between. Feel free to ask questions.
Thank you. I remember, for example, also one time, well, not one time, my school used to do each year. I think we all schools does it, like get to know my classroom, or getting to know my school or stuff like that. And I said, why don't we change that to decorating my classroom? Because also that as teachers, they come to the classroom and it's all prepared and it's beautiful and it's amazing, like I said. But if they are part of the process too, whatever we can do to make them feel home, because that's going to be their home for an entire year too. And now they're slowly coming back to school, and it's a process that I've noticed that is really hard for them, because at my school, for example, this this school year has been half and half. I have some students at home, but I also have students here. And also to build that connection between the ones that are home to the ones that are at class, it's been not really difficult, but it's been challenging for me as a teacher as well, because I need them to interact as well. So sometimes I'm putting the class on the board and I'm talking to them and I have the mic in here, and I want them to hear their perspective as well and to interact with each other. So that sort of connections right now are so challenging, but we got this. We got this because we have a huge community. We can share our fears as well, our thoughts, and I pretty much these days for that as well, because sometimes we do something and we are saying, oh my god, maybe I didn't do it correctly, or maybe I could do it in another way, because it's not working, because this kid is not really involved with this. How can I make it? But we as grown-ups too are afraid to share those thoughts too, because we don't want them to be aware that we're scared of what we're dealing with. But it's normal. We're humans. When I learned that I was going to be having the class at the same time in the computer and with kids here, I was, oh my god, it's not going to work. How is it going to be? What if I spend a lot of times with the kids here and I left the others? And what if it's the other way? My mind was going 100 miles with scary ideas that what can go wrong. But it wasn't as scary as I thought it was. It's really challenging, but you can make it work as well, because you already have the connection with them. As I said, you need to establish that since the beginning. Like, you have the rules, the essential agreements that you guys all agree with them. For example, for me to create that connection with them emotionally, I'm very goofy. Maybe you probably sense from the way I talk. I joke a lot, so that helps me to connect with them. And I'm one of my students says that I'm like a kid, because I go with them and sat on the floor. I said that I'm part of their team. I became part of their friends group, and that doesn't take me the authority that I have with them, because they still respect me. They still work. They still manage their times. So how do you develop positive relationship? Well, depends on in each one of us, right? Oh, it's yours. I'm sorry. But
I'm asking this to audience. How do they develop
sorry,
positive
I'm
relationships?
just reading. But it
No,
depends
no, no.
also on each one of us, right? Because sometimes, for example, and I'm not saying it's for all of us, but as for me as a student when I was younger, it was like the teacher at the front, the teacher talking. I'm not saying I'm not judging teachers. If you're seeing me, I'm not. I love you because you made me what I am. But it was like that. I remember seeing an article that said that we were talking about legacy. I think I already said it here. Kids,
I have a word about Paulina. We call it hierarchy. Hierarchy, teachers on the
yes,
throne,
and
and we are on the other side.
exactly. And it was like that. It was like the teacher talking and the kids just writing, and everyone saying like the same answer, like a chorus, and it worked back then. But it's very different. The era is changing, and now kids have such a strong voice, and we want them to share that voice with us. But in order for them to feel comfortable enough, they need to realize that it's okay if they make a mistake, it's okay if they share what they believe, if it's okay if they share a negative side as well on their perspective, because it goes both ways.
Yeah, Shams is writing that I always try to make positive relationships through friendly behavior and friendly attitude. Very well said, Shams, Mr. Shams. Very well said. You know,
Agree.
we have experienced in our time the perfect example of passive learning. You know, we were just receivers, but there were few teachers who were different, and we still remember those teachers. If you ask me what is my favorite place, I will say Kerala. And I had no idea how Kerala looks like. Actually, it is a very beautiful place in in India, and we call it God's own land. And one of my favorite teacher belongs to Kerala because she was so wonderful. For me, she was the most beautiful lady on earth. The way she talks, she makes us feel, and I always wanted to. Till now, I wanted to visit. I lived very close to that place, but I couldn't visit. But that is the impact of a good teacher. I still remember, and I still remember when I left that school and I moved to another school. She checks with one of the student who used to live, near to her house that there is a new joinee in your school. She must be in your class, and that's so wonderful. She used to spend a lot of time with us checking about our well-being, and there were no such big words, the well-being and self-care and social emotional learning, but that was all happening, and that's the reason she could make that connection with us. And she recently passed away during COVID-19, and almost all the batchmates prayed for her, and that was her impact. So building those connections which makes us what we are, teachers.
Exactly. Exactly. We should do an inquiry about that, guys. Like, what makes us who we are as teachers? Oh, I like that. Yeah, but I remember also one of my favorite teachers was my English teacher when I was younger. And I remember being in first grade and didn't have any idea on what was she saying, but it was the way she dressed, the way she talked. She was always smiling and always happy. And I remember saying, I need to talk to her. I want to have conversations with her, but I can't understand what she's saying because she's saying it in English and I don't know English. So my purpose was to learn English to be able to talk to her. And that's also one of the reasons that I became a teacher as well. But I've always loved kids, but I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was young. So, and she was one of the main reasons why. And I miss her. I remember her dearly. Her classes were amazing, and her vibe, like the attitude, her behavior, and she always made us part of everything. The decisions, the classes. I remember that so dearly. So yeah, I agree with you. The attitude that we have, and how can we do it? There's not a book on how to do it, but I feel that as long as you want, that's the first step, that you want to create that connection. That's the first step, and that's the most important step to be, that you want to create that connection. And in order for you to do it, it's to learn. There's some mosquito in here. To learn your students, to learn your class, what they like, what they don't like. And it sounds so little, but for them to join and to talk to a person that understands what type of cartoon, what type of thing is going on TikTok, and those are so you can turn something small in something amazing that is going to lead and is going to change the way of the interaction in the class, because they are not going to see the learning as something that you are just giving to them because it has to, because it's coming from a person that really cares about them, that really understands them, and that it's making them part of their process. So like I said, it all starts with a door and with a person, and then the results could be amazing. And I think that everyone can do it. It's not really that hard. if you really want them. And you will see the results in the reflections that they have, because they will feel more comfortable enough to share what they really think. Because, for example, I remember having this student that it was really shy, and at the same, she was a really perfectionist, and she was always saying, but what if it's not correct in thinking routines? And I was like, I remember saying, it doesn't matter, because it's your opinion. Your opinions, your perspective will never be wrong. So share them, because we all want to hear them. And she was always trying to say the right answer, but I noticed that she was trying to say the right answers for me. Like, what will be the right answer? Or what is what you want to hear? Or what do you want us to do? Or how should I don't know, color this street? Those small things, they just want you to like them, and you want them to like you. And it is a constant, not struggle, but you want your students to love you, and they want the teacher to love them. And we just have to create that link where everyone knows that this is ours, our family. I always call them our family, because this is our family, and we are here to encourage one another, because the connection that you create with your class is important, but also the connection that you create between them as students. Because at certain age, they start making fun of others, they start judging more, they start noticing more the errors. So if you build since the beginning that link, that friendship, that community sense between them, everything will work amazingly. But if you don't, and even though, even when you do that, that kind of gives you the opportunity for them to work and to collaborate as groups and to build more actions. Because I've noticed that too also. When you build that connection between them, they start working more, and they, oh my God, what if we do this? Or what if we go, I don't know, if we go and pick up the trash on the beach? Or what I for example, my students all love to play football, the boys, but the girls were more shy to do it as well. So this is just the playground. So we went, and I love soccer, so I always play with them. And I remember the girls wanted to play as well, but they were shy, and they didn't know how to ask the boys to play. And I was like, well, just ask them. So they asked, and they went, and the boys were so welcoming to them. So now they're always playing together, and the other kids from the other classes noticed that. So it started like spreading like an action that it's just probably not noticeable if you think about it that way, but it is. And those small actions get bigger and bigger. So it's just like a chain. I don't know if someone else has any other questions, or if you want to add something else.
Yeah, if you want to add something else, feel free to add to the conversation which Paulina is having with us. So do share with us that how do you develop positive relationships with students, and what are your success mantras, or what do you do, those small little tips. Please share with each other. Yeah, I hope they will share. They're a little silent today.
I
Are you
know.
all? Yeah, little. They are in a December mode, holiday.
I don't want to. Maybe I'm boring you guys with all when I'm saying all my experiences.
No, it's quite relatable. You took me back to the classroom, and it's quite applicable everywhere. The first chapter is building relationship. When I started, the leadership role. So the first thing I still remember, like I was very much worried about many things, because it was a coincidence that I joined schools which were in candidacy phases. And candidacy phases are always chaotic, and you have many things to do, a big list, to do list, and all those things. And a team which is very new to you, because that was, I think, my first role as a PYP coordinator. One thing that helped me a lot is building a sense of community, helping them to understand that school is going to have authorization soon, and that is something which talks about our practices, right? So developing that habit, that culture of belongingness helped me a lot. It was like victory achieved before authorizations on. We knew like it is our mission, it is our school, these are our students, and developing that culture helped me a lot, and that has helped me in both the projects. So far, I joined two school in the candidacy phase, moved through the authorization, and that is something which helped me. And as a teacher as well, I still remember I joined the teaching, world as a grade two teacher, and I never experienced, those little kids, and I never taught those little kids ever in my life. And I, simply said to the principal that I love teaching, but I don't know how good I will be in, in grade two. So she just told me that be one of them, and you will be happy. I took it up, and I was one of them. There were students sitting on my lap, talking to me, discussing everything, considering me as a part of it. So that was great too. And that was a very different asana. The moment I shifted to grade five, I became little different because, as you said, when they grow up, their behavior changes, and we need to have those changes in ourselves as well. I was a very sweet teacher when I was in grade two, but when I was in grade five, I became a little stern, you know, not judgmental, but keeping an eye on them because they all were in adolescence phase. So, those talks, girl boy talks, all those things. I still remember changing myself, but yes, I ensured that they are in a very safe environment. If they're doing a mistake, they feel, safe to admit that. And that comes with lot of, what should I say, courage. You need to have those harsh days as well, which we all experience. I still remember a huge fight between girls and boys for for no reasons, for we like blue and you like pink and all those things, and bringing those things into the classroom and then building that trends, those kind of gender biased attitudes. I still remember. But we need to have, as you said, a culture of community, that there are no other side. We all are one, like just like one body. And it's difficult to achieve. And I still remember we had one dish party, and I said that like we all always have one dish party. What is something different that we want to do this time? And one of the students shared that why don't we bring food which our friends like? And I really loved that idea. And what they ensured that they are bringing a dish which somebody else is liking in the classroom, and they ensured that everyone's wishes are being taken care of. And that was a fabulous one dish party, and I loved that idea. And even we tried it in one of the teachers one dish party. So that was a fabulous idea given by a child. He was from Malaysia, and I still remember him. What a wonderful idea that he gave me. He said that why don't we bring something which we don't like but others like. So let's see. And I said, okay, what if someone else will not bring what you like? What will you do? So he said that I'll make my taste buds more active. I'll try. I'll different. He was a a bibliophile kind of. If you don't find him in the classroom, even in the recess, he used to visit libraries. So complete bookworm, amazing child. A lot to learn from him. Yeah, Paulina, the audience is little silent.
I know. I see a question. How can
Yeah,
we build up a required relationship
yeah,
with
Roshan's
this?
asked.
Oh, how do you do it? How, Miss Roshana, how do you build this connection?
Okay, this is
Because
her question. Yeah, yeah. She asked us this question. Like, so can you let us know, Roshan, what do you do before we start sharing the tips and the experiences? What do you do to build a positive relationship? Ah, she thought that it's all okay. So, Paulina, would you like to throw some light on this question? That what do you do to develop a required relationship? I think she's asking to develop positive relationship with students. Yeah, so we
Well,
have been sharing a lot.
me, I I'm a very social person, so I think that helped me a lot to be able to have communications with other people, connections with. I don't have problems with interaction with people that I don't know, that I just recently. So that's been really helpful for them. And in this at school with my students, I'm like I said, I'm very goofy. So for example, with the parents meeting, we are always nervous when we have parents meeting and all. And I'm really like that. I first said, okay, I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna meet my students, I'm gonna meet the parents. So I try to joke a little bit with stuff that I can so they can relax as well. So when people feel relaxed, I think they enjoy more the ride, whatever it is. So for me to create that connection with the students is to make them part of the process, the whole process, like I said. When they first arrive to my class, okay, I'm said, okay, this is our classroom, it's our responsibility. Everything that happens here, it involves all of us. We are going to build these units of inquiries together. We are going to decorate our classroom together. I share the calendar, the schedule. I even share my calendar, like in a big part of my board, like when I have workshops, when I'm going to do this. My students know that I have this participation with you guys, that I talk to you guys on this YouTube channel. I even show them this, and they really love that because they feel part of my life as well, even though if it's just a small part. So when you share with them the things that you do, they they feel and they feel responsible to give you the same from them. For example, I'm doing a certification, an English one, and I told them about the process. I said, "Oh my God, guys, I'm doing this. I'm gonna have an exam, and I'm really nervous." Blah blah. So they were cheering me up. "Oh my God, Miss Paulina, you're gonna be great." And they asked me, and this was something eye opening for them, I think, because they were like, "Are you nervous because you're gonna take an exam?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "But you've been a teacher for a lot of time and you still get nervous." Of course you still get nervous because it's something that you want to be good at, because you're something that you've been practicing. So they they saw me as a human, as a person that get nervous for exams. So that there's, like I said, there's no guide who tells you how to create that connection. It just depends on the type of person you are, of the type of teacher that you want to be for them and for you as well. So it's depending on, if you want to create that, that's the first step. And to know how to do it, your students will guide you through that process as well. You will notice the necessities that they have. Maybe you have a group that year that their necessities are just merely the knowledge. They don't are as emotional as others will be. Because for example, in the group that I'm right now, we've been this group that I have now in fourth grade was also my group last year, and it was also my group in first grade. And some of them were my students in kinder too. So for some of them, this is our fourth year together. And I was kind of afraid that it wasn't something good for them to have the same teacher. But I feel that been really positive. And I'm not saying that it should be like this all the times or it's something bad. I'm just talking about what I'm living right now. The connection that we have is so strong that I was afraid that maybe this year they wouldn't be able to accomplish more because they already know how we work and they will stay in the same line. But been the opposite because they've been having more actions. They're talking about writing a book to explain kids how the ivy works, how it is, what is the purpose of it. So because they feel that I support what their support, I support their ideas because they feel that I believe in them, because they know me and they know that any crazy ideas that they have, I will support them because I also have a lot of crazy ideas. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but this is what I'm talking about, a connection. And I'm not saying that you need 4 years with a group to create that connection, because I connect with them since we started in the beginning. So it depends 100% on you as a teacher if you want to create that, if you want to build that. That's the first step. And my recommendation will be to not being afraid of tell them that it's okay to make mistakes, to encourage them to those crazy ideas that they might come up with, to feel that you love them, to make them feel that their classroom is their classroom, that the units of inquiries are, they're all, to make them part of each part of the learning process in each way possible. That will be my advice. And I would love to share more tips or whatever, but guys, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. You've been super shy and I'm always talking a lot, so
You're talking a lot of sense. Don't worry about.
sometimes I feel like don't, because I tend to over talk, but thank you.
It happens. It happens. Yeah, teachers, educators, please ask your questions. Miss Paulina will be more than happy to answer those questions. Thank you, Roshan, for asking that beautiful question. Uh, that actually, put us on track. We were discussing about several other things. Something that I would love to share, that, we all have essential agreements in our classroom. And I still remember first year teaching, grade two, as I just shared. So we had, number of essential agreements. And I think there were few students who said that, why don't we have essential agreement for you, ma'am? I said, yeah, that's wonderful. So that particular year we had essential agreement for me and essential agreement for them. But next year I realized, after reading more, attending more sessions, that I'm a part of that community. So in my with my next batch, I said that last year there were essential agreements for me, there were essential agreements for me, you, but I think that I'm a part of the classroom. Do you think that we need to have essential agreement for me? And one of the students said no, but we can take care of yourself. I said, how will you take care of me? He said, yeah, like you take care of us, we can take care of you, no issues. So he just stood up and he said it, and he was a very shy child. So having those conversations and sharing what we have done in the past, as you said, that whatever is happening, demonstrating our true self, because they are very smart, as you said, that we consider themselves small, they're not understanding, but they make sense the way we talk to others. We keep on saying, okay, today we are going to have a learner profile assessment, or we are going to have a learner profile check, we are going to have a reflection on learner profile, but they see those learner profile in us. Are we open minded? How are we in our conversation with others? How are we conversing with our colleagues? I still remember one of the learners said that, I think you are helpful. I said, why do you think so? I'm helpful. I have observed you talking to, Miss so and so and comforting her. I said, how did you feel that I was comforting her? You were very concerned and you were listening to her. I said, and he was such a tiny child. I'm talking about a grade two child. So like they observe us, and we are just like role models. I have mothers sharing that they pretend to be Miss Asna at home. They wear, I used to wear big earrings and all those things, and they used to wear all those things. That was the first teaching year, and I was totally into dressing up myself. So this is, it makes up the way you talk, especially to that age group, kindergartners and grade 1 and 2. They see us as role models, and a part of it goes with them. So this was something, if you want to make real connections with your students, first, ask those questions, pretend that you don't know the answer of all the questions, and then they will open up. The moment you will start sharing what I know and I'm the only person who's knowledgeable on earth, they go into a shell, and that never, you know, we have, yeah, last Sunday I praised a student for sharing an important point by clapping. She claimed that she was insulted for this. I felt embarrassed. Well, can you please, okay, for sharing an important point. Oh, is it so like she took clapping other way around? I didn't get it. Okay. Roshan, would you like to explain this? Fine. Yeah, Miss Paulina, you can continue. Meanwhile, Roshan is explaining it.
I when Miss Roshna was sharing this, I remember we, as teachers and as school, we're a bilingual school, so we encourage our students to talk more in English, to practice more the language. So we have every Friday, we each kid brings a book and they share the book with us, and we read it together. But I have this girl that it's really hard for her, the pronunciation, everything, and we never make fun if someone pronunciate a word that is not correct, or maybe she made a mistake, or that she's really shy. And I remember thinking, this was like a second, should I push her and should I encourage her? That what if she cries? So this all happens in my mind for a second. So when she's saying this, it kind of came to my mind. It's really difficult to know how the kid will react and to know how will be the correct way to respond to that. But it's like you're taking a risk on how is it going to happen and how are you going to deal with it. But I don't understand, because everyone loves that when to be clapped about. I mean, if you do something great, like, oh my God, you did a great job. Maybe I don't know, maybe something in about her background that they've been clapping for something wrong or sarcastic way. I don't know. That comes to my mind. Sometimes we don't know what's going on in the kid's life that triggers this sort of responses. So that could be probably but I don't think you did something wrong, because you were not trying to make her feel bad. So, but it's yes, that sometimes there's that side of us that is really difficult. And for me was that point that I was like, I want her to be able to be more open about reading. So what I did, I asked her if she wanted to read. She always says no. So I talked to her individually about this, that I would love to hear her talk, and I encourage her to do it. Your friends won't laugh. But she's still really shy about that. She reads at her home. She practices. She even sends me videos, and her pronunciation is really good. But she's still not doesn't feel comfortable enough to share with others. And I mean others because she doesn't even read to her mom. She only does with me. So now I'm asking you guys for guidance. What should I do? What do you think I should do about this? Because I don't want to push her to read in front of the class, because I feel if I do, this would set her back and it will shut her more down, and I don't want that to happen. So what do you guys recommend for me to do?
We have a wonderful solution for Roshan's issue. The Roshan said that the child felt, insulted. So
Yeah.
probably, so this is a amazing solution that Walker has shared. That you can ask the child, which ways would help them feel encouraged. If we are asking this, probably, or we will avoid those circumstances in future, right? So we know the intentions were good, but sometimes it happens because it all depends on how they are perceiving, even the praise. All right, and Walker is asking a wonderful question that he is a Spanish teacher and he wants to know to build community with ninth and 10th graders. So if you can share some tips with Walker, Paulina.
Okay. I was reading this and I was going in my mind. What about mentoring situation? Like you could have the 10th graders being the mentors in maybe an inquiry together, or maybe something that you already work on, or maybe a thinking routine that if you make the bigger students mentors, they will feel like, oh my God, we're mentors, so we have to be good and blah blah. And the younger kids will feel encouraged for them, and that it will create that bond maybe that could help. I've never teach high school. I'm kind of afraid.
Yeah, and one suggestion for you, Walker, like you can have, some kind of project-based learning environment where they are sharing common passion or discussing about common interests. That may help you to build community. We are purely PYT people. So, but yes, I have seen teachers, building community through shared passion, having genius hour, having buddy groups, all those things help. And, especially having the group projects where they find themselves a part of a group and develop a kind of belongingness. All right, I love the way you read everything fluently, especially your intonation. This is it.
Thank you so much for those.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
Ah, wonderful.
I like the pet idea. I asked them to read in pairs also, but not to read itself. I just gave them a topic, for example, and I I thought about this idea because it will be tricky because right now for them TikTok is really huge, so they always want to talk about TikTok and whatever, and there are a lot of content in TikTok that is not really appropriate for them. So I have a TikTok account and they follow me, I follow them. In that way, they're more responsible of what they share and I can keep an eye on them. So, and they, oh my God, Miss Paulina has a TikTok account. Oh my God, and she's so aesthetic and whatever. So, anyway, one day we have these Friday conversational times moments where they can have like I gave them like 10-20 minutes and they can have a conversation about whatever they want as long as it's something appropriate of their age, and they could do it in groups. The only rule is that they have to do it 100% in English. They can talk about whatever they want: video gaming, TikTok, gossiping, because they're at that age they love gossip as well. And I said the only rule is that it has to be appropriate, not rude to anyone else, and in English. And this has helped them to not being so shy to talk to them in English because it's a topic at class. And I've noticed that she's less afraid to do it as a small group. So I will thank you so much for your advices, guys. This is amazing. Thank you so much. They love this activity actually when they can have that time for them, but they have to do it in English. And it's really funny the way they interact with one another in English as well. And they're really goofy as well. So I feel that's kind of my fault. So I feel really responsible for that.
And fostering a culture of peer feedback is again very helpful because they love to listen from peers, more as compared to teachers. So again, that is a process. So we need to develop that environment where they are in such groups where they are listening to others about probably the feedback. It can be a part of peer assessments. So having those kind of learning, as you said, using visible thinking routine, having those conversation where they are gaining perspectives about others instead of just confined to their own world. So that again develop a kind of belongingness.
Oh my God. Thank you guys so much for
Yeah,
sharing
wonderful,
your.
wonderful Swarupaya. We can encourage them this way as
Yeah,
well.
I will definitely continue talking to her about. I haven't asked openly what makes you feel afraid, because I know that it's her pronunciation, that she's kind of shy, and English for her has been a topic since she started class, because when she entered our school, she came from a school that wasn't bilingual, so it's been really difficult for her. And I remember when she told me, I really like English. For me, it was like, oh my God. So I don't want her to block her enthusiasm about this. So I am trying to be as delicate as I can. So I really appreciate you guys' advices and all, and the time that you took to listen to us, as at least for me, to talk about all this random stuff that I have in my class. I really appreciate this. This is amazing. And I don't know if you have any more questions, something else you will like us to add, something that you would like to share. Thank you for your wonderful ideas as well. Oh, the way you read everything for you. Okay.
Feel free to ask your questions, or if you would like to share something, some really great ideas Swapna shared, Walker shared, those wonderful ideas.
I would love to hear or to read how they create that connection in their classes, how they build this amazing community in their class. But I it stuck with me what you said about that they are watching your every move, everything that you do. They notice the interaction that you have with the other teachers, that you feel they don't, but they do, like all of the time.
They are just like sponge. They observe and they absorb everything. Whatever is happening in the environment, they learn from their peers. It is, I think, more learning happen by observing you. This is what I experience. The way they look at you when you're there. Just telling something that okay, you need to do it, and something done to them will never make sense. They will definitely cross check whether we are doing it or not. It's like it's a difficult process, especially for teachers, those who are trying to bring learner profile and making their students more international minded, all those things. So it starts with a self check, you know. So are we doing it? How are we doing it? So then that will make our teaching more organic, I should say. So
As
if you have any more ideas, please feel free to share. Paulina, you can continue sharing if you have something to share more.
I was gonna say something. For me as teacher, I feel that I would love to connect my students with other students from other parts of the world. Maybe I feel there's something that it's an area opportunity for me and for them as well. I always invite other teachers from my school when they are going to reflect on something or to share a project, or they also always ask to go to other classes to ask for information. But I feel that I would love to create a community for them with students. I feel that that interaction is something that we still are missing, that we always participate with some schools on the dot day we share, and but I would love to have something like this with them, to be able to, I don't know, to have maybe a Zoom talk or pen pals or something like that. I feel that it's an area opportunity for us. for language learners or whenever they use the language.
Class points is like wonderful. Wait. In PYP classroom, class dojo was very popular. Once upon a time, when it was launched, it was very popular.
Class
Uh,
points.
like last year, I remember one teacher, they were learning about homes and cultures, and one of the student, he said that why don't we have a conference? Then we asked like, what type of conference that you want? He said that people from different places coming and discussing and sharing. So we had a roundtable conference, and around learners from 10 different countries participate. They brought pictures, they shared what do they eat, what are the rituals, all those things, and it was wonderful. So that made me think of that particular activity that we conducted last year. We are also planning to have something as great as that activity this year, and it worked really well. And they also used a wakelet, and their conversation moved on and on. That became a small community. They used to share pictures, and wakelet is a very safe tool. It's not a social media, but it gives them that feeling of social media, that they are conversing with each other. Although it was teacher monitored, this year we had something related to celebrations with one of the schools from India, where they discussed and shared like what do they celebrate, and then our kids shared that what do they celebrate, how do they celebrate those celebrations, and what is different. They made different compare and contrast and all those things. So it was lovely to have those building sense of building community. As a coordinator, what I did, we love professional development, and last year I invited many educators from around the globe to to lead those professional development session, and it was fun. It was fun to have them all, because my teachers could get a very different perspective, and we were able to analyze different practices. Where are we going in the right track or not? What are we doing? All those things. So that worked really well for us. So yes, having those conversation with the larger community is very important. Swarupa has shared wonderful tip. Have something nice to say box in the class.
That's
Yes,
amazing. I'm writing
amazing,
everything down.
wonderful.
I was thinking also on your idea, Miss A. I think right now we are inquiring on where we are in place and time, and we are talking about how the old settlements are setting an influence in our future. So we're talking about old settlements, ancient civilizations, how the world was before, how it is now. So I think I'm gonna create a Padlet for my kids to share, and I'm gonna share this Padlet on the WhatsApp groups that we have. So if they want to, this is thank you, and I love that. Have something nice
We
to say.
try Wakelet also. Wakelet is wonderful. They record the videos, and it's amazing. I love it. I have been using it. We have set up a book club during the days of working from home. We were having book club sessions, and that was missing. So we created a Wakelet, and there we created a book club for all the teachers of the school, and they used to share that we are reading this book and that book. And same Wakelet we used to use as a provocation for the learners, that still we can work on our reading habits. And one thing, we always keep on telling, okay, read. What I did as a teacher, I shared my reading log with them, and we develop our reading routines together. And we used to discuss what we read, what I read on the weekend. Did I miss on it? If I miss on it, am I going to make it up? All those things, and that developed a culture, that it was not a kind of normal conversation about read. It was like, I'm also reading. Can you read? What are you reading? As if friends are talking. So that worked really well for me as a teacher.
Wow, I love that. Like an international book club.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. That was amazing. The I have something nice to say. That was we could. I think I'm talking. I'm thinking about like we. I have something nice to say. We could like merge it with I don't know what attribute did I use today or what which attribute one of my students used today that I noticed. I don't know. This is so amazing. Thank you so much. Oh,
Yeah, Mother Tongue Day. Yeah, it's wonderful. That made me recall. International Tongue Day is something which has its root in Bangladesh. They are the people those who fought for and did many sacrifices for their mother tongue, and it has been appreciated by the world, and we are celebrating International Mother Language Day. So what we did, we celebrated International Mother Language Day with grandfathers, grandmothers. They came and they discussed like what is the contribution of Bangladesh, why did they do so, why they sacrificed their lives for the language, what was so special about it. We have many storytelling sessions, narrating those real life incidents which those grandparents share, and that made them feel that this is something started by us and how important it is for our culture. So that is something that we did, and that was lovely. That helped us, even those some of the grandparents, they were just talking in Bangla, but students, they were so happy to have them in the classroom,
I
and the
bet.
way they were discussing, it was completely a scene as if grandparents are telling bedtime stories. They all were listening, they were so happy, they made greeting cards for them, and they invited them, maybe you should come to a class again. And grandparents were like kids. It was
I
amazing.
bet. Wow. I'm my book is my notebook is this is amazing. Wow.
Thank you, Surupa, for sharing this wonderful ideas. Like I'm loving the chat.
I know, me too. The language learners every whenever they use the language. Oh, okay. Yeah, I we used to have a school a class bear. So the person that speaks more English that day was able to take it home. But now with the protocols that we're following, we can share stuff like that. But this is a great idea. I really I also I did something really I don't know if I already shared with you. I don't think I did. The teacher of the day. I was struggling with them because they all wanted my attention at the same time, and I noticed that I was noticing that they were like a little bit upset when I didn't approach them at the moment that they wanted to. So I explained them that well, I have these friends at home, I have you guys here, it's kind of difficult, blah blah blah. But they still were like, yeah, I want to, and I share them. So I said, how can I make them realize that it's really difficult for this and that they need to be aware and be empathic about all this situation that is going. So I said, okay, guys, how would you like to be the teacher of the day? So they all wanted, they were really excited, and I said, okay, send me your proposal of a class, but fully, like with the times, what would you do? What are the inquiries gonna be, the times, and blah blah blah. So anyway, send it to me on Algebraics because that's a platform we use Total, but as a message type of more like informal situation we use Algebraics. So anyway, I asked them to send. They sent me the proposals, and they were so like I was like, oh my god. So one of the girls won, so that she was a teacher for that week, and she was like, I don't know how you do it, Miss Paulina. How can you be a teacher? They all ask the instructions like 100 times. They want me to explain them 100 times. I already did. She was done with it. I don't know how you do it. I don't want to be a teacher anymore. But we were laughing and all. But when the kids at the class were being more, they were doing it on purpose to make them because they were seeing this as a joke. But as the class follows and she became more I don't know, something in her changed and she was in front of the class and she was giving it and then the whole attitude of the class changed. And it was really cool to see that process when they beginning to there was more like joking around, but then at the end they were they were being part. I was a student as well, and it was a really good experience. So now they want to do it every week, but we change it to we have it each one day per month. So they send the proposals, and it's something that is it, and it's they also do it being related to the class because I said the topic will be up to you. You can talk about video games as long as it is appropriate. And I said they're gonna come up with some weird topics or something super strange, and they didn't. It was related to our empire, so it was really cool, and we still do it. And it gave them the point of view as teachers how we deal with sort of situations, how we explain, and for me has helped me because they pay even more attention now because we ask the same question so many times. We need to pay attention on the instructions. So it's been a both way help situation. It's been really cool.
You
Oh,
know, you know what's time for me? It's 9:40
oh
p.m.
my god!
It's Bangladesh, and we are discussing about all the passion, and I'm so energetic. Look at me.
I know it's because it's 8 for me. I'm so sorry. We
I'm
didn't
and
hear
today
an
and
hour.
today we didn't have any PPT and all those, but the conversation, initially it was it was on the downside, but we are enjoying it a lot. Amazing. And I love this teacher of the day. It's such an amazing idea, and we are going to try it. It's amazing. And yeah, we predict that they will come up with something crazy, but they are more sensible than us.
Yes. Oh my god! I just totally lost sense of time. I'm sorry,
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's
but
perfectly
it
all
was
right. I
really
just checked it.
cool.
I just checked, we are live for 1 hour, 11 minutes, and we are loving the conversation.
I
So,
know. Wow.
guys, if you have any more questions, you can ask Paulina. Paulina will be answering it. Else, we will meet next time soon, very soon, and next week. And Paulina will be back with us. Whenever you feel like meeting Paulina, do let me know.
Aw, thank you.
It was lovely. We are sharing what all we have experienced, and
This was amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Really.
Thank you so much, Swarupa, that you joined us, and we loved your ideas, and we loved Walker's ideas, Roshan's ideas. Wonderful. It was great learning from the audience as well. So, Paulina, would you like to conclude today's session? End it?
I will just wanted to say don't be afraid of creating that connection because it won't be they won't lose respect of you. They won't do it. Do it because I encourage you to do it because the outcome will be amazing on the learning on everything. So just do it. Love you guys and thank you so much for
Yeah, and they're learning from each other. We are successful in building a community. There's a lot of learning from each other, and your idea is successful. It's good you not to have a PPT.
thank you so much. Go to sleep. Go everyone, please. I'm sorry because it's morning for me and I'm if you hear
Yeah,
that,
it's
I'm
early morning for her, and it's about to. I'm just thinking about my bad, but I'm so happy. And loving this conversation. Uh, okay, and I'm going to share your feedback link soon. Let me check where is it. Yeah, here it is. So a feedback link is coming. That is an exit form. Please fill your correct name, and you will receive a certificate as a token of appreciation for joining us today. And there's something coming up for Paulina as well. Allow me, Paulina, to share the screen.
yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Thanks to you. I love the conversation. Thank you so much, Paulina, for joining us. It was an amazing discussion, and yeah, everyone was involved, and that was so wonderful.
Thank you
Could
all.
you see
Thank you
the
really.
screen? I was able to see it. Could you see the screen?
I do I see I saw it.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Paulina. Thanks, everyone. We will be meeting soon next week with an interesting session. Rania is joining us, and she's going to discuss a topic that is related to STEM learning. And bye bye, everyone. Have a good night. And for you, have a good day.
Oh my